kindly sent me their new product, the Seestar S50 Smart Telescope, so that I can give it a try and do a review. I either have to buy it or return it at the end, just for full disclosure. So let's see what's in the box. The first thing you see in the box is a nice foam black carry case. It's got a carry handle on the top, 2 clips at the front, and we open that up, and inside we have a very nice sturdy tripod with extendable legs, and we have the unit itself, which we'll come back to. We have a USB Type-C cable and a solar filter, plus some instruction leaflets. So let's have a go at putting these together and see how we get on. So the first thing to do is to check the state of charge. Just a single press on the power button on the front, showing 2 red bars out of 4. So I'm going to plug that in with the USB Type-C cable, and we can see that that's now charging. Next thing I need to do is to load the Seestar app onto my phone. I have an iPhone 13, and I'm going to share the screen of my phone so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so on the iPhone I'm going to go into the App Store, and in the search bar I'm going to type Seestar, select Seestar and download the app. Okay, and now we can open the app. We'll allow it to find and connect to devices on the local network, and it also has come up with allow while using app, which I'm going to select. So we're now in a position to try and connect to the unit. So let's turn the unit on and press and hold on the power button for a few seconds. The yellow light comes on, and just move that out of the way. And I'm going to hit connect. Would like to use Bluetooth, OK. And it's got all these permissions, and I'm going to hit enter app. It didn't find it, maybe it's still booting up, so we'll just do try again. It looks like it can see it now, so I'm going to hit connect. It says press the reset button at the bottom of the Seestar body to confirm the connection. So that's under here. I clicked on join to join the Wi-Fi network, or join the Wi-Fi connection to the Seestar. And it wants to do a firmware update, so I'll update firmware now. And press start updating. So the firmware update is completed, and we can click OK. And now we can press connect and connect. Join. So we're all connected. Now I think in order for the azimuth rotation to work, this needs to be up on a tripod, not on the table. So I'm going to disconnect the cable and pop this thing up on a tripod. Now I can plug the power cable back in and have a go at steering the unit. Okay, so what we need to do is click on scenery, and then we should be able to use the finger to steer the unit. At the moment the image we're getting is completely orange because there is a protective sticker over the lens. So one of the first things I'm going to do is take this sticker off. So let's do that. Okay. Okay, let's try and point at something interesting. How about these tree branches here? Select them and press autofocus.
Autofocus completed.
Okay, great, that's worked. There we go. So now we need to come right round to the left. So I'm just going to do a focus now, I think. So we'll do an autofocus to make sure we've got the best possible focus. Okay, it says that's complete. That's good. You can take a still shot. You can shoot some video. Okay. Look at the photos I'm taking. See, that's, yeah, there's the photo I've just taken. That looks good. I like that you can zoom it live. That's really nice. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's really good. So in order to turn the thing off, we need to press on the picture of the unit at the top right hand corner and then do slide to shut down. Okay, so it's parking itself. And notice that it can park itself with the solar filter on, it doesn't foul, so that's really good. Next stop is a dark, clear night. Okay, I've got a lovely clear night. So I've put the unit out in the garden and I have come inside and connected to the unit. So I'm just going to press stargazing here. And we can press this button at the bottom right corner and then press at the top right objects. Now you get tonight's best, so it'll give you a selection of objects that are good to image tonight because it knows what's in the sky from your location. Or you can go and pick from deep sky objects, galaxies, nebulae, clusters and comets, or from catalogues like the Messier catalogue and others, NGC, etc. So I'm going to start with tonight's best, and we can scroll through and look at what different objects it says are good to image tonight. Now let's say I'm interested in M31 Andromeda. It says visible all night. If I click on that, it will show me a graph of the altitude of the object in the sky versus time. And you can see right now it is 11 o'clock at night. So you can see that it's pretty high in the sky and it's approaching meridian. So if we want to image that, we can press gazing. So it'll show us how it's going to be framed. The red is the intended framing. So it's now slewing the unit towards that object. Now the first time you turn the unit on, it will do a calibration. It's actually a darks calibration. It takes about a minute or so, and it shows you 20%, 40%, all the way up to 100%. And that's to enable it to get rid of hot pixels and systematic noise from your imagery. So you just have to wait for that to finish basically. And then it's a good idea to do an autofocus so it's roughly focused on the stars, and then you can start imaging something. So here it's getting close to the target, and then it's taking a picture, doing a plate solve, so it's comparing it with a database and finding out how far off it is, and then making a correction to the pointing, and then taking another image and checking again, and it will repeat that until it's content that it's pointing properly at the object. So let's just wait for that to finish. You can see the corrections on the blue pulling it back into the red each time. So it's just taken another shot and it's trying to identify where it's of. And we'll just wait for this to finish until it's happy that it's got us pointing accurately at the target. Okay, and we can see the core of the Andromeda galaxy as a faint blob in the middle of the screen there. So you can choose whether to put a light pollution filter on or not. I'm going to leave the light pollution filter off, and you can run the autofocus by pressing AF down here, so I'm just going to do that quickly. So when it does the autofocus, it takes a sequence of shots on different focus settings, measuring how sharp the stars are each time. So you get that kind of U-shape or parabolic shape response, and it works out where the optimum focus is. And this takes it about a minute to do, and hopefully will result in nice sharp stars. Once we've got sharp stars, we can start imaging. So we'll just wait for this autofocus to finish now. Okay, so it's happy now. So to start shooting, I just press the red button at the bottom, and you'll see that it takes 10-second exposures. So you can see it counting down here, the 10 seconds of the exposure. At the top right corner we've got a sort of total exposure time display. Starts off on 0.00000. So it's taken one 10-second shot and it's added that to the final result, and there's our result for the single 10-second exposure. So it's just finishing another one, and if it's happy with it, it will add that to the first one, and then we'll have 20 seconds. It will sometimes reject a shot and not add it just because it's not happy. Maybe it's slightly out of focus, wasn't tracked well, or had a satellite or an aeroplane go through the shot and it decides not to use it. It looks like that's what happened on that second shot there. So it's just taken another one. Let's see if it adds that one. Yes, it has. Okay, that's great. So what we need to do now is just leave it running, and as time progresses the signal will add and the noise will average out, and our signal to noise ratio will just get better and better. So we'll leave that running for a little while and come back. We're now on 30 seconds, and we'll come back when we've got, say, 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, we've got 10 minutes of exposure time now, and we're really starting to get a really nice image building up. We can see all the little dust lanes of the Andromeda galaxy showing up here. You can see the little companion galaxy down there, and also the other one at the top. It's really quite an impressive performance, and really very little effort to learn how to use it, and a really gratifying image. So I'm going to stop that there, and let's go and have a look at another object. And bear in mind, you can always go to your gallery, you can look at the images that you've taken, you can zoom in on them, and when you can resume on a target and continue stacking onto the data that you acquired last time, which is really great. So let's pick another target. So I'll go to Objects at the top left here. What should we have a go at? Wizard Nebula could be a good option. Oh, that's nice and high in the sky. Let's have a go at the Wizard Nebula. Okay. Well, you really can't see the nebula at all here, so we'll start imaging. Important to remember that most nebulae are really deep sky objects. They're very faint, and you need a long exposure to be able to see them. And that's the beauty of stacking images together. And the reason the Seestar takes such short exposures at 10 seconds is so that you don't get tracking errors and your stars are still nice and sharp. So that's after just 10 seconds, and I think I can faintly see the nebula in the centre there. among the stars. So let's allow that to build up a little bit. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got. We've been imaging for 16, well, we've got 16 minutes and 40 seconds of exposure time so far. And you can see quite a lot of detail appearing now on the Wizard Nebula. It's really very impressive for a piece of kit like this. I would love to have a go at M42. I need to maybe save some battery for trying that later. Let's have another look at tonight's best. I'm quite intrigued to have a look at the Bubble Nebula actually. I'm not quite sure how it's going to frame. Here's the Bubble Nebula. It's really an extraordinary nebula. And you can see it's nice and high in the sky at the moment, so let's give that a try. Looks like it might frame rather nicely, mostly because of the small sensor actually, because you've got quite a short focal length, so you would normally have a really wide field of view, but the small sensor in the Seestar effectively crops you down, so it looks as if you've got more focal length than you actually have. This is why you can't get the whole of Andromeda in the shot. You won't be able to get the whole of M42 in the shot. But that's the compromise, and they've chosen a sensor which has the same aspect ratio as the screen on your smartphone, which I think is a smart move actually, if you'll excuse the pun. So it's found that incredibly quickly. So let's start imaging. Again, can't see anything except for a few stars at the moment, but let's let that run. See what we get from one shot and then leave it going for 10 minutes or so. Still got 68% of battery, so I've done quite a lot this evening already and still got lots and lots of battery power left, which is great. Okay, so we can see just after 10 seconds we can see a hint of the bubble itself. Let's see what happens when that builds up. Oh yeah, it's going to build up really quickly. I think this is a great example. Let's leave that going. So up to 5 minutes and 10 seconds now. That's really nice on the Bubble Nebula. So impressed by that. I think what's nice about this nebula is not too many stars blocking the view, so you don't really need to remove the stars to see the nebula nicely. That's really a great target for the Seestar. I'm going to leave that going a bit longer. So this is what we've got after 20 minutes. I just get more and more impressed all the time. So this is the complete view and the view of the bubble. So impressed by that. I could leave that going for ages, but let's try something else. So let's have a go at M42. So we'll go to stargazing and we'll choose objects. You can choose to do it this way, or you can actually just scroll through the sky and find the object that you want to. So let's do it that way. We'll go back to here and just zoom out. Here's Orion and there's M42. So we can frame it however we choose to frame it, say like that, and then hit go to. Okay, looks like I'm in a good focus. I've done an autofocus. Let's start imaging. Wow, that's just great, isn't it? Just with 10 seconds. It's such a bright nebula, it's really super. This should be really good with a build up of time. M42 never fails to impress, does it? You just never get bored with it. That's 30 seconds. So the Seestar will sometimes appear to take images and not add them to the stack, and it's doing that at the moment. We're at 50 seconds and it's taken 2 or 3 shots of 10 seconds each and it hasn't added any of them to the stack. I'm not quite sure why it does that. There we go, it's added that one, so it's back adding the data again. It must have a good reason, it just doesn't tell you what that reason is. So that's 1 minute of exposure time. If the first time I took an image, an astrophotography image, I'd have got an image like that, I would have fallen off my chair. It's miles better than my first ever image, which I'll put on the screen so you can see what it looked like. Wow, how technology has moved on, so people can take images like this without needing to really know much about astrophotography at all. Quite amazing. This is a really super target to photograph with the Seestar. So here we have 38 minutes and 40 seconds worth on M42. Wow, it's very good. Really very nice. Okay, so let's have a go at finding M51, the Whirlpool Galaxies. So we'll choose Galaxies, M51, and we'll hit gazing. So here comes our first 10-second shot. And we can clearly see the galaxy, and there's actually 2 galaxies colliding, and we can see the core of the 2 galaxies and just about make out the start of those spiral arms. So we've got 30 seconds of exposure time now, and you can clearly see this building up. So we'll let that run for a bit. Okay, how are we doing here? Wow, what a difference. That's 9 minutes and 10 seconds. Well, I guess it's verdict time. The Seestar S50 has really impressed me. It seems to be a new era that we're entering of smart telescopes, where all the hardware and the software is all really tightly integrated together to create a package that really doesn't require any learning curve at all, where you can just take it out of the box, having charged it up, put it outside and switch it on, connect to your smartphone, and choose your object and start photographing it. And I've been impressed at the image quality that I've been able to get with this, given the size of the telescope that it contains. It's really nicely made, it's robust, it feels like it's going to last, the tripod is really sturdy and solid, and the software is the real gem. The software for the Seestar is just fantastic. It's so easy to use, it's intuitive, it's got all of that information to helps you choose your target, gives you information about the target, shows you when it's high in the sky, and lets you just select it, and the unit itself does all the finding of the object. You have to touch a button to refocus maybe once in a while, but once you're up and shooting, it just builds and builds and builds that image quality, and it's just a very straightforward experience. It would make a fantastic gift for somebody who's never done any astrophotography, but it's also for people who don't want to get into all of the technical complexity, the expense, and I've heard it called the rabbit hole of astrophotography, where you end up buying more and more and more kit, which I'm afraid I've long since gone down that rabbit hole. But this is like a kind of one-piece solution to being able to impress your mates with photographs you've taken from the back garden. It's important to remember that it's not really suitable for photographing planets, so the sun, the moon, large nebulae that are very faint, and galaxies that are faint, they're all fine. But for planets, you're really just going to get bright dots and maybe a few dots for the moons of the planets. It's not going to impress, but that's not really what it's intended for. In terms of portability, well, it's not as small as the Dwarf Lab Dwarf 2 that I reviewed previously, but it's still portable. I'd say the case is about double the size of the Dwarf 2's case. but it's still relatively portable, easy to charge up, and yeah, overall I'm just very impressed with it, and I've really enjoyed getting to know this product and having a go with it. So that's it for this time. I hope you have clear skies and enjoy whatever you buy. Until next time, bye.